In this second lesson on slide guitar, you're now going to put everything you've been learning to work in playing a 12-bar melody over a progression. All right, so let's just get right to it and make it happen. But wait, press that little red button down there to subscribe to Outsmart Your Guitar, and then hit the notification bell to be told when new lessons are put up, which is around once a week. Outsmart Your Guitar is also on Patreon. So go on over there, subscribe at one of two levels to help support my efforts to continue providing high-quality lesson material for you to help you learn, play, and grow to be the guitar player you desire to be, to play the music you love. All right? So let's get on with the lesson. The first thing I want to do is talk about the rhythm progression over which you're going to be playing the melody. If you have the written material, you'll see the progression is laid out there. It's in A minor, and the tempo is 76 beats a minute. Okay, let me play through the rhythm, not the progression, just the rhythm, so you can hear the rhythm of what you're going to be playing. All right, here we go. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. Okay, so you'll notice the first half of the second beat and the first half of the fourth beat were cut short. In the notation, you'll notice there's a dot above the first half of the second beat and the first half of the fourth beat. If you don't know what that dot means, it's a staccato mark. And what that means is that you play the note and then cut it off very quickly. But you don't rush to play the end of the beat. You play the end of the beat right where it belongs. Okay? Now, staccato is a very short sound, like that. Very short. Not, but very short. So let me play the rhythm feel again so you get a sense now of what you're supposed to do. 3, 4, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. All right? And that's the rhythm all the way through. So pause the video, practice the rhythm, and get the progression down and flowing fairly well. Now remember, full tempo is 76 beats a minute, but do not record it just yet. You want to wait on that because the melody is actually going to dictate what tempo you actually record the rhythm track at. You want to play the melody smooth and flowing. And so if you do that at a slower tempo than 76, that's okay. What's more important is that you're playing things correctly, smoothly, and with flow throughout the whole melody. If you do that at 62 or 70 beats a minute, that's quite all right. Okay? So, again, pause the video, practice the rhythm, practice the progression, and then just kind of set that aside. And when you're ready to start learning the melody, press play, and we'll get right to it. All right, the first 3 bars of the melody right there in the diagram before you, you're going to start on the 4th and 5th string with your slide, and you're going to have your slide somewhere around 5, thereabouts. And you're going to slide up to the 7th fret. Now remember, you got to be right on top of the 7th fret, not behind it or in front of it, right? So you slide up there and hold it for 3 beats. And then you move over to the 4th and 3rd string at the 5th fret, and that's the 4th beat. And then you play it again and slide up to the 7th fret on the same 2 strings for 3 beats. Whoops. 2, 3, and then on the 3rd string, 5th fret and 7th fret for 4 and, right? And then you're going to slide from 7 up to 9 on the first beat of the 3rd measure. And then you're going to come back to the 5th fret of the 3rd string, and then the 4th string at the 7th fret. hold that. Now, the count of the first beat is 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's like a kind of a hiccup. 1 and 2. So you can go 1 and 2 like you would in a swing or shuffle feel. 1 and 2. And that'll get you there, right? You don't have to go 1 E and a 2. You can go 1 and 2. And that'll get you there, just applying the shuffle or swing feel. So let me play the first 3 bars here. 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4. All right? So if you need to review, stop the video, go back and listen to the demonstration. And you can even go further back and walk through the walkthrough and make sure you understand what's going on. Then once you're clear, pause the video and get the mechanics down. Walk through what you're being asked to do. Then play through it and start counting it out and getting it in time. Bring in the metronome when you're fairly smooth to further refine your timekeeping skills here. Okay? Do that, practice this for a little bit before moving on. And then when you're ready for the next couple of measures, press play and we'll keep going. Here are the 4th and 5th measures of the melody. Now you'll notice there's 2 sets of triplets and they are 3/2 triplets. If you don't understand how to play 3/2, go to my Licks and Tricks How to Play 3/2 Figure video lesson and walk through that and learn how to play those 3 notes in a 3/2 triplet precisely where they belong so that it will always sound correct, smooth, and flowing every time, because you'll now know how to count it out. All right? Then come on back here and continue with this lesson. So let's learn the 4th and 5th measures. Now, you see a little swoopy line in the notation coming into the first note of the 4th measure? That's a tie carried over from the 3rd measure. We played an A on the 2nd beat, and we held it for 3 beats, right? 2, 3, and 4, and we hold it into 1, and then we move to 9 on the 3rd string on the end of 1. Then we go to the 8th fret of the 2nd string on 2, slide up on the end of 2 to 10. Then we come up to 13 on the 2nd string, and we play 3 and sliding down into the 12th fret note, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, sliding up to 3 and 4 and. I know, that's a bit of a mouthful. If you need to stop and rewind and listen to the explanation again, go ahead, do that, absolutely. Now, I'll play through this nice and slow, and you'll hear how it's supposed to sound. I'm going to start on the 2nd beat of the 3rd measure, the previous measure, so we can carry over into the first half of the 1st beat of this measure, of the 4th measure. 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. All right? Pause the video. Listen to this, rewind, listen to this. Listen to how it's counted. Follow along in the written. Then, when you think you got a handle on it, pause the video and walk through this mechanically. Get your fingers doing what they're supposed to be doing and get the slide doing what it's supposed to be doing. Then, begin to put it in time and slowly smooth it out. Then when you think you've got it fairly smooth, bring in the metronome. I know it's just 2 measures, but bring in the metronome and really get it smooth and flowing. All right? When you're ready for the next bit, go ahead and press play and we'll move into that. Here are the first 5 measures now put together as a singular whole. All right? So I'm going to play through this and give you a sense of what you're going for. All right? I'm going to play it at a little bit quicker tempo to give the flow a little bit better sense of what it's supposed to sound like. 3, 4. Oh, yeah. 3, 4. 2, 3, it is. All right. So pause the video, rewind and listen to this and get a good sense of what you're going for. Listen to the count and pay attention. Walk through, watch the diagram as I'm playing through this so you hear where everything is happening. Okay? This gives you a better sense of what you're going for melodically. Then pause the video and practice these 5 bars, getting all 5 bars smooth and flowing. Now you can see between the 3rd and the 4th measure, that swoopy line going to the first beat of the 4th measure, what I was talking about a moment ago. So you get a better sense of what's going on there, okay? Then put this to a metronome, absolutely. Do not gloss over this. Spend the time to do this correctly. You're here learning, so now learn it right. Then, when you're ready to continue, press play and we'll move forward. All right, so what are you doing here? That's what you're asking. What am I doing here? Why am I learning 3 bars here and 2 bars here and then putting them together? Well, it's called the additive process. This is an approach I developed from my piano playing days back when I was a kid taking piano lessons. I was shown how to learn stuff by taking smaller bits. So I've applied that to learning large pieces of music. Instead of tackling the whole thing, you break it down and you learn a small bit here, and then the next bit you learn, and then you put the 2 bits together and you learn to play that better, right? And so now, in this case, you've learned 3 bars, and then you learned 2 bars, and then you put the 5 bars together. Now you're playing 5 of 12 bars in the melody. Pretty good. This instills confidence because it shows you can do this, right? And that's the whole idea behind additive, to show you that you can learn even complicated things fairly easily if you break it down into small enough bits that are easy to digest and understand and play. All right? So, that being said, you ready for the next 2 bars? Let's get to it. Here's measures 6 and 7. Now, you'll notice we're beginning up at 13, so we have a bit of a continuity of thematic ideas here. So you play 13 on the 2nd fret, slide down to 12, play 10, move over to the 3rd string at 10, play 9, slide down to 7, then from 7 slide up to 9, back to 5, over to the fourth string at 7. And you'll recognize another thematic element. All right? So let me play through this nice and slow and easy so you can hear how it sounds in flowing smoothness. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, All right? So, pause the video, rewind, watch the walkthrough for the mechanics, and then watch the demonstration for the flow. And then pause the video and work this out. Walk through it, play through it, get the mechanics down, then start putting it in time and then counting it and getting it smoothed out. And when you think you got it fairly smooth, bring in the metronome. Don't avoid this step. It's important to have the metronome to help keep you honest, right? And get it smoothed and refined, all right? Then, once you've got this down, press play and we'll move forward. Okay, I'm going to play through the first 7 bars of the melody here, so follow along in the written material, and let's go. 2, 3, 4. And that's what it's supposed to sound like up to this point. So what you want to do is pause the video, listen to the playthrough if you need to, and then pause the video and connect these 6th and 7th measures to the first 5 measures. Play through them at whatever tempo you can do this smooth and flowing and get it really working. Those first few measures should start to really be falling into place, especially, right? So, take your time to do this. Spend a few minutes. Don't just gloss over it. Take the time. Really reinforce what you've been learning and add the new stuff in there too. All right? Then, when you're ready to continue, press play and we'll get on to the next couple of measures. Let's look at the 8th and 9th measures now. Remember, in the 7th measure, we've been sitting on the A at the 7th fret on the 4th string for beats 2, 3, and 4. That note carries over to the first half of the first beat in the 8th measure, so 1. And then on the 4th string, we slide up to 14 for the and of 1. Then the second beat starts at the 3rd string at 12, sliding up to 14 for the and of 2. So 2, and. The 3rd beat is at 13 on the 2nd string. The 4th beat is at 15 on the 2nd string. The first beat of the 9th measure, you slide from 15 up to 17. The second beat, you come back to 15 and slide down to 13 for the and of 2, so 2 and. And then at the 12th fret, 3 and 4 and to finish off the 9th measure. Now, let me play through this and give you a sense of what it's supposed to sound like. I'll go at a nice slow pace. I'm going to start on the second beat of the 7th measure to flow into this measure. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and Now, pause And if you need to rewind to watch the walkthrough for the mechanics and then listen to the demonstration, go ahead and do that, and do it as many times as you need to get it straight in your head. Then pause the video, work out the mechanics yourself, and then start counting to get your note placement. Then slowly bring it in time and smooth it out. Then bring in the metronome, and don't skip this part. The metronome will help you to refine it to get it at the tempo you've been playing the previous 7 measures, right? So that you can connect these nice and seamlessly to those measures. All right, so take a few minutes to practice that when you get it together, right? Then when you're ready to move forward, press play and we will move forward. All right, I hope you've attached measures 8 and 9 to the first 7 measures and played through that with a metronome to further smooth it out. Your first 5 or 6 measures should really be coming together now, and everything else is slowly gelling and coming into place, right? This is the whole idea behind the additive. Okay, so let's look at measures 10, 11, and 12 here. So what we got is we're at the 12th fret on the 2nd string, and the first beat we're going to slide from 12 up to 15. Then for 2 and, we're going to be at 13 and slide down to 12, 2 and. Then we do another 3 over 2. We're going to be at the 10th fret on the 2nd and 3rd string, and then going to 9 on the 3rd string. So 3 and 4 and Then we come down to 7 and slide up to 9 on the first part of the beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. All right. So let me play through this and give you a sense of what it sounds like. 3 and 4 and All right, so pause the video. If you need to go through the walkthrough for the mechanics, go ahead and rewind to do that, and then listen to the demonstration to hear the flow. And pause the video again, get this down, go through the mechanics, then start counting it out, then start smoothing it out and getting it in time. Bring in the metronome and get everything sounding right and smooth at the tempo you played the previous 9 measures. Okay, take your time to do that. This is the whole Megillah now, right? Okay, so when you're ready to move forward, press play and we will keep going. I've recorded the rhythm into my looper. And now I'm going to play for you what it should sound like. I have it at 76 beats a minute, but don't worry about that tempo. Just make sure you can play it at a tempo, smooth and flowing, even if it's slower. All right, here we go. 3, 4. And there you go. So your goal, of course, is to sit down with this, figure out what your tempo is for all 12 bars, and then record the rhythm progression onto your looper at that tempo, and then work it out and play it smooth and flowing. Now, I know it's going to be a little overwhelming at first because the progression is very relentless. It's not going to slow down and, wait for you to catch up. So it'll take a little bit of work to play along with the progression. And that's okay. That's part of the process. So just take your time and don't worry too much about it if you make mistakes. You know the part. Now you just got to get used to playing it in tempo with a rhythm that is not going to wait for you, right? Okay, so when you've done that for a little bit, go ahead then restart the video and we'll wrap it up for this lesson. Okay, so if you've never played slide guitar before, you've just played your first full-on slide lead guitar part. Now I encourage you, don't play this any faster than you can manage to play it smooth and flowing. This way you'll be able to work on your technique and everything else, and your accuracy in particular, right? So that you will be able to really get this right. Then you can start thinking about getting it up to a faster tempo, because not all songs are the same tempo, right? Again, for this song, 76 is full speed. But if you're at 50, 60 beats a minute, that's okay. What's important, again, as I always stress, is smooth and flowing and correct technique, correct execution. You do that at a slow tempo and you get it really down well, then speeding it up 2 to 4 beats a minute, which is all I recommend, and then re-recording the rhythm track at 2 to 4 beats a minute faster and playing over it, you'll slowly, incrementally get yourself up to full speed, and it may take a little while, and that's okay. So just enjoy the ride, enjoy the process. You've learned a new technique, and that in itself is really awesome, right? And so have fun with it. Again, just put on a blues track, and just play over it. Even this, you can just make up your own stuff if you want. But I still encourage you, learn this melody note for note as best you're able. This way you'll be really learning all the techniques and how they're used at various points during a melodic passage. All right? So when you're ready for the next lesson, it'll be there, as will I. So we'll see you then.